The first point I want to make you understand is that atheism has nothing to do with philosophy, with science, and with reason. I repeat, atheism has nothing to do with philosophy, with science, or with reason. Atheism is about psychology. Atheism is about emotions. Atheism is about spirituality. We have to understand that the concept of God is a necessary concept, as we believe in our tradition in the concept of the fitrah. We know the fitrah comes from the root that shares the same root with words such as fatrun and fatarahu, that Allah has created something within us to acknowledge Him and to worship Him. So the idea of the belief in God is a natural belief, to the point that the question shouldn't be why God, but the question should be, what reasons do you have to reject God? Because it's part of our own nature. As we see in the hadith in Sahih Muslim, where the Prophet ﷺ said, every child is born in this state, in this natural state. But it is society, his parents and his upbringing that deviate him away from this natural state. And this natural state, brothers and sisters, is confirmed by reality itself. For example, if we look into the works of sociologists, like the evolutionist sociologist Professor Justin Barrett, he did a study on children, and he came to the conclusion that even if you have atheist children and you put them on a desert island, they're going to believe in God. Also, if you look into, for example, key works in psychology, you have the psychologist who studies religion. Her name is Olivera Petrovich. She has a journal and she discusses that the natural psychological state of the human being is to actually acknowledge God. And actually atheism has to be forced on the psyche, on the soul, on the mind of a human being. So from this perspective, we have reality in line with what the Prophet ﷺ told us many, many years ago, that the concept of God is a natural concept. But I want to take something further. I want you to listen very carefully, brothers and sisters. And it concerns with the natural belief in God. If you reject God's existence, it is just like rejecting that this lectern, this table is real, that Brother Mujahid is real, that Brother Hamza is real. You reject God is equivalent of rejecting that the real world is actually real. Now, where am I going with this? In Western thought, you have this idea called a basic belief. A basic belief is something that doesn't require any evidence for you to believe it. That it is necessary in order to have rational thought. I want to argue that God is just like a basic belief. He is necessary to have a rational thought. So what is a basic belief? A basic belief, for example, is that the real world is actually real. Because if I asked any of the brothers or sisters in the audience, can you prove to me the real world is real? Can you prove to me that you are actually real and you exist? What evidence would you give me? You may say, well, I'm here, look, hello. That's not evidence. Because how do you know? Or how can you confirm? Or how can you reject the assertion that your brain is in a jar and there are probes in your brain and there's an alien in Mars making you think what you're thinking now and making you feel what you're feeling right now? You have no way of disproving that assertion that your brain could be on Mars in a jar with metal probes in it making you think and feel what you're thinking and feeling now. Just like the atheist professor Bertrand Russell, he said, you can't disprove the idea that this world was created 5 minutes ago. You can't disprove the idea, brothers and sisters. Because maybe the world was created 5 minutes ago, but it's been programmed to make you think that you've been here for 20 years or 18 years or 35 years. So there are some self-evident truths, for example, that we know to be true. For example, this world, this universe is longer than my own existence. Number two, that this real world is actually real. But you have no evidence for that. You have to accept it as a truth in order for other ideas to come from this truth. The existence of God is just like a basic belief. It's necessary in order for you to have other truths about the world. So if you reject God, it's like rejecting the real world is the real world. Now someone may argue, but wait a minute, Mr. Georges, Mr. Hamza. Maybe the belief that there are fairies at the bottom of my garden, that might be a basic belief. Or that the giant spaghetti monster, and he has meatballs for eyes, he created the universe. He is a basic belief. But there's a problem here. They've misunderstood what a natural basic belief is. A natural belief is a belief that doesn't require information transfer, that you understand it without any other information. The spaghetti monster and fairies are ideas that require information transfer. But if I were to throw you on a desert island, you could easily conclude that the desert island is real and that this desert island must have been created by something outside of the island. Namely, supernatural causality, that something created the universe outside of the universe. So I really wanted to make you understand that the idea of God's existence is a natural belief.